So welcome. I know we've tried to keep you engaged as sort of our advisory committee for the Aylmer Elgin St. Thomas Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. That I know with COVID, it became a bit of a challenge at the beginning. We were hoping to meet with all of you face to face and have that in-person session at the beginning of April. Got canceled. So we've tried to find some other ways to get you engaged around some of the information that we're doing. So today's actually our first virtual in-person session. There will be a number more as we sort of move through the fall. So today we thought I take the opportunity to give you a bit of an update on where we are in the project, but today's focus is really, we're going to take a walk together. So we're going to do a data walk and take a look at the data that we've collected to help inform the development of the community safety and well-being plan in your area. So we're not going to do all introductions of all of you, but you're going to do that when you move into your breakout rooms. So I'm going to move you into some breakout rooms for the afternoon. You'll be working with the same group for the next couple of hours. So you're going to have an opportunity to see who's in your group when I break you out into that. But as a starting point, I wanted to introduce you to the coordinating committee. So the Community Safety and Wellbeing has a coordinating committee that's sort of steering and guiding the project. And I think we've got a number of people on the call for that today. Let me just see if I can see them. Mayor Preston, I saw you somewhere. There you are. Hello. So Mayor Preston's on that. Councillor Steve Peters, are you here?
I am.
Oh, there you are. Trying to find all of you. Councillor Sally Martin, I heard her. She's on the phone joining us this afternoon. Mayor Mary French from Aylmer is here. Chief Horvat, are you here? Don't see him. Let me go to page 2. He isn't with us yet. Chief Harridge from St. Thomas Police. Mike Butler, who's an inspector with the OPP, isn't able to join us. We've got Wendell Graves from the City of St. Thomas, Jennifer Reinart from Town of Aylmer, and then Julie Gagne, who's the CAO at the County of Elgin. So that's the coordinating committee who's sort of steering the overall project. Then there's you're the advisory committee, so you're here to do the work. So the advisory committee, your role is to really help me look at all of the information that we're collecting, and I call it sense making, to help interpret it and make sense of it, and to help us build the plan. So today's sort of step 1 as we think about doing that. So let me move back so I can't see you for a sec. So this is the, I always call it's like building a puzzle. So there's not just one piece that we're looking at to help develop the community safety and wellbeing plan, but there are going to be multiple pieces that we're looking at that then we want to look at as that whole to say, what does this mean as we think about community safety and wellbeing in Aylmer, Elgin, and St. Thomas? So today we're looking at that orange piece, or part of that orange piece, where we're going to take a look at local data and say, what does this mean or tell us about our communities and our risk and protective factors as we think about community safety and wellbeing? So that's sort of today's focus. We're also doing some local asset mapping. We're going to ask you today to help us sort of piece a bit of that together in the topics we're looking at. So what's already happening? So if we take a topic of housing and homelessness, what's already happening in our communities to address housing and homelessness? We've got the general public. So we've got a survey that we're just closing. What's the public's perception of community safety and well-being? We've got you as the advisory committee. We already had an initial survey where we asked you for your top priorities as you think about community safety and well-being. And then we'll be doing a lot of work with you as a group as we begin to develop the plan. So lots of different puzzle pieces, not that one is sort of the answer to it all, but as we look at all of those pieces, what does it mean as we start to think about community safety and well-being? So let me give you a bit of an update on where we're at. So if you haven't had a chance, there is a community safety and wellbeing website. It's hosted on the County of Elgin website. So you can go and take a peek at that. It's got some sort of Q&As, what's the project? It's got meeting minutes from the coordinating committee. So if you want to go in and take a look at some of the work that's being done, that's a good spot to do. Earlier this year, when we didn't have that April meeting with you, we did an online video introduction to give you a bit of an orientation to community safety and wellbeing. Why are we doing the plan? What's it all about? How are we approaching it? We've got a data package, and that's the package that we're going to be looking at today. I tell you, it's 100 pages of riveting data about your community. So lots of great data that's all in one spot to help us look at Elgin and what's happening there from a data perspective. We've also done an inventory of existing planning tables. So I've got 19 planning tables, and what we did was looked at them in terms of what's the purpose of the planning table, what's sort of the membership or sector sitting on the planning table, and then getting a sense of what are the priorities or strategies that that planning table is focusing on. Again, using that as part of our asset mapping, what's already happening around community safety and well-being in Aylmer, Elgin, and St. Thomas. As I said, we had that initial survey from you, so our advisory committee. The advisory committee, the coordinating committee decided that the advisory committee would not be a set number of people. So it wasn't like we're going to handpick 20 people, you're going to sit on the advisory committee. They decided that they wanted it to be an inclusive process. So whoever wants to sit on the advisory committee can come and sit on the advisory committee. We want to make sure that everyone who wants to have an opportunity to help develop the community safety and well-being plan has an opportunity to do that. So that's you. So we did that initial survey. We had 38 responses to it, representing 18 different sectors, which is a good cross representation. We also, if you haven't seen it, have an online discussion forum where we have 36 members who I post data or questions or information, and we have a dialogue about it. So an opportunity not just as a survey for you to give me information, but for actually you to have a conversation about community safety and well-being. And as I said, we have a general public survey that went out to gather the public's perception about community safety and well-being, and we have 356 responses, which is great. So a lot of information there that we'll be collating and then coming back to you for some interpretation and sense making about. So sort of where we are in terms of the project.
Question?
So today, yeah, was there a question?
Yeah, question, Steve Peters.
Yes.
Could you just go back to the previous slide? Thanks. So what's the timeline, please, on the general public survey? When is that ending, and are there some things that we should be doing? Because 356, it would be really nice to see that number a lot higher. And are there gaps as to who's, areas that are responding and not accepted? So if you could just kind of update us where we're at, how much longer this is going on for, please.
Yeah, I think we decided we're going to close the survey. 356 is actually a good number. I haven't done the statistical significant analysis yet, but to give you a sense, typically in London, to get a representative sample, you want 500 responses, and London's a lot bigger than Elgin. But certainly, if you think there's an opportunity to continue to promote it, we could keep it open for a bit longer. So I'm open to feedback around that. Are you thinking that you'd like to keep it open longer? It
was a question, but I would certainly look to the consensus of the members if it's something, I'm never, we're still doing our work, so, keep it open, but, it's the collective's call.
Any other thoughts on that? Anyone want to weigh in? Thoughts on the public survey? No? No.
Hi, Jennifer.
Yeah.
Chris Arians here. I tend to agree with Councillor Peters. Unless there is something that you're aware of that we're going to lose, if we can continue to gain information, this is a work in progress, and we have a few months yet. So maybe it's an opportunity to take advantage of some additional feedback.
Yeah, there's certainly no rush. So, well, that's not true. Let me back up a minute. So originally the community safety and well-being plan was to be approved by councils by January 1st, 2021. COVID happened. So the province, as part of its COVID legislation, noted that deadline will be extended. They have not provided a date in terms of when the plan actually has to be completed. So we know there is some sort of latitude or flexibility around when it needs to be done. I certainly don't have a problem with keeping it open. The goal will be probably to get it back to you probably in November, maybe late November, to do some working on it. But if you think certainly there's some value in continuing to promote it, we we could continue to do that. Now, someone had their hand up. It was Judith.
Judith,
Yes.
my question was if you know whether there's been input from across the region.
Yeah, I'll go back and take a look. So we did ask some demographic questions, including where people live. So which municipality, we asked like income, education level. So I'll go back and take a look at the demographic profile, because certainly then to go to Councillor Peters' remark is we could do some targeting. So let's say we say, oh gosh, we haven't heard very much from Bayham. Let's actually go out and try to get some further responses there. So yeah, I'll go back and take a look at that. Thanks for raising that. Any other comments about the general public survey?
Jen, it's Tamara here. I should probably know the answer to this, and forgive me for not, but is the public survey, was it administered completely online?
No, we had hard copies available as well. They were available, and maybe Carolyn, you can help me with this. I know they were available at the county building. They were available at the town of Elmer, town hall. Where else were they available? Anywhere else?
At the municipality of Bayham office as well.
So I guess I'd just be curious, having them available is fantastic. I'd be curious how many were actually completed that way. And I'm thinking about, the digital divide, the pandemic. Of course, people without access to technology may not be completing it with the same frequency, and they may, we're concerned about everybody in our community, but certainly some folks are more vulnerable. So just wondering if we're getting enough feedback, and that'll kind of feed into your demographic analysis as well. So.
Yeah, and certainly, especially now that some places are open, there's the opportunity to put more of an emphasis on the hard copy versus the digital. So I know I'm also working with Middlesex, and we're actually using curbside pickup at libraries to promote. So you get a book, you get a survey. So there's different ways that we can actually get the surveys out into people's hands that way.
Ryan, is it possible to do it through the Elgin Library System now that you're reopening?
Yeah, I've got Heather. You're here somewhere on the call, aren't you?
So is
Yes.
Brian.
Yeah, actually, we're distributing them through the curbside. So
Heather?
that
I don't
can-
believe we were, sorry,
Yeah.
Brian. So we'd be more than happy to do that at St. Thomas.
Yeah, great. Great. Any other comments? General public survey, this is helpful. No? Okay. So let's talk about today. So today you're going on a walk with the data, with your 100-page data package, though we're not reviewing everything. So we're going to review data in key areas. And really we're looking for, all of you come from different sectors, which is great. I think we even have someone who's like a member of who is a member of the general public. So a wide range of people who are here today. What we're looking for is really all of your perspectives of it. It's really helping us have the context of each of the sets of data that we're going to look at, because data, they're numbers. We want you to bring them to life for us. What do they mean? What's the context? What are you seeing, either from your organizational perspective or from your everyday life perspective? So you're going to fill in the pieces for us that we don't typically see just in the numbers. So that's what we're going to do this afternoon. I'm focusing today on the 4 top issues from the community partner survey. So the survey that we did, there were 4 issues that really floated to the top in terms of potential priorities community partners and organizations thought should be reflected in the community safety and wellbeing plan. So you'll see them on the screen. So housing and homelessness, we had about 58% of the people who responded to the survey said that should be a focus, representing 10 different sectors. So I'm giving you both so you know it's not just one sector that sort of picked the topic. Mental health services and supports came up as the second one with just over 55% and 11 sectors reporting that. Substance use and addictions at just over 47% with 9 sectors. And then poverty and income security with just under 32% of people and 8 different sectors. So I've chosen those as our starting point for this afternoon, not only because they came up in the community partner survey that we did, but when I floated them on the discussion board, people agreed that those were the meaty issues and challenges that we should be sort of pursuing or exploring as part of the community safety and wellbeing plan. So it's sort of where we're starting today. It doesn't mean we won't be looking at other things. The other piece is then what does the general public think, which is the public perception. So when we get the survey responses from them, we may see something totally different where we want to dig into the data and help us understand it as well. But as a starting point for today, we're going to start with those 4 key areas. So that's what we're going to do. So today, you are going to be put into small groups. And the way we're going to do it with Zoom is you will actually be assigned to a breakout room. So in a minute, you'll see something come up on your screen that says, go to breakout room 2, and you'll say, click it, and it'll send you off. So you'll actually be working with a small group for the afternoon. You should all have the slide deck that we're going to be using this afternoon, so feel free to look at it. But the person who's in your breakout room will have a slide with some of the data points to share with you about your topic that you will be discussing. There is also all the further detailed data in the data package, sort of in the attachments at the back, so feel free to go in and dig into that. So you will have an opportunity to talk about each of the 4 areas. So about housing and homelessness, about mental health and well-being, about addictions and substance use, and about poverty. What you will do is you're going to stay in your group. I'm going to rotate a host into your room every 20 minutes, and that host will bring the different topic with them. So you're going to start with one of the topics. 20 minutes later, your host will be ejected from your room, a new host will enter, and they'll bring with them a different topic for you to look at as a group. Feel free to keep your own notes as well. So if we're going to, hopefully the person in your room is going to be taking notes, so feel free to voice whatever you want. We're not, at this point, we're just looking for ideas. We're not looking for generally, consensus on things, but trying to generate sort of all of your comments and responses to the data. If you have things you didn't feel you had a chance to say, keep note of them because I'll be looking for some email feedback as well. So if there's other things that you want to say. So the questions you're going to be focusing on for each of the topics you will see in front of you. So again, if you are a visual person, you may want to have these in front of you. The note taker in your room will also be helping you move through them because you want to move through these questions in the 20 minutes that you have. So we're going to start out very high level with what are you noticing? So housing and homelessness, that's one of the topics for the data. What are you noticing about the data? What surprises you about the information? Anything. So sort of that big sort of opening topic to get you talking about it. The second question is really about getting you to help us get more specific about the topic. So housing and homelessness is very broad. So what else do we know about it? Are there main sub-issues or challenges? So is housing and homelessness more of an issue for youth, for women, for newcomers? Are there certain geographic areas where it's more of a concern? So is it St. Thomas? Is it in BAM? Is it in Aylmer? Are there certain population groups that we should be looking at? Are there any overlapping issues? Because everything is interconnected. So even though we look at things discretely, so is poverty an underlying issue? Is that digital divide or access to the internet an issue? Is transportation an issue? So really helping us understand the issue versus just saying housing and homelessness is one of our priorities. We want to sort of dig in and get some more meat around it. Then the third question is really about that asset mapping. What's already being done? So housing and homelessness is a potential priority. What's already being done? We don't want to duplicate in the plan what's already being done. Our community safety and wellbeing plan should say, here's the priority, here's what's already being done in our community, here's what else we need to do. So we need sort of that middle piece that tells us what's already being done. Then the fourth question is, what questions do we have? What else do we need to know? So if we're thinking this maybe might be a priority, what else do we need to know to help us sort of discuss it more fully? And then at the very end, we're going to get you to narrow. So you start with that, what are you noticing? Your final question is going to be, so if housing and homelessness is in our community safety and wellbeing plan, what should be the specific focus of this area? And there may be more than one. So you may say, we think it should be youth homelessness in St. Thomas. We think it should be affordable housing or social housing stock, but that's where I want you to narrow that topic from the big one to what actually do we need to think about focusing on as we think about the community safety and wellbeing plan. So that's what the questions you are going to work through around each of the topics with your note taker in your room. Oh, so that's the intro for you. Any questions about what you're going to be doing? I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a minute, pull you all back up. I'm also going to stop